Hello everyone, welcome back to The Media Couple. Obviously, I'm Rory and I'm here with...
Sophie, that is me. Hello. As you can see, we are in a new space.
Yes.
We have finally made the move. It's been hectic. It's been hell. We're here.
We survived.
I don't know if I want to talk about it, to be completely honest. This is just the nice bit. So just let's pretend you and me, like none of all that stress happened for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, let's go do that.
It's just been seamlessly as you saw us in the last episode and as you saw us here now. Nothing in between has happened.
Nothing in between's happened. It's fine. That's the beauty of film, isn't it? The beauty of
That's
filming.
the magic of cinema.
That's the magic of cinema.
Exactly. But no, it's been it's been hell.
Yeah. But we survived it. We're survivors.
Exactly.
Well, I'm not going to ask you how you've been because you know exactly how you've been in hell. Obviously, we're going to start with the Oscars.
Oh, of course. I mean, is there anything else we can even talk about?
So obviously this time around at the Oscars, it was a huge night for independent film, which is absolutely amazing, I think.
Yeah.
Anora took home 5 Oscars in total and 4 specifically for Sean Baker.
I know.
Yes.
He did really well. I mean, isn't he now on par with Walt Disney in terms of how many he's actually won? Although the director for Parasite, he did technically except 4, but one of them I think only goes to the film and not him personally. So I think they're kind of on par.
Right, okay.
But yeah, Sean Baker. I mean, love Sean Baker as well.
Yeah, an incredible director. Like from what I know of, like he made Tangerine, which was their film all shot on an iPhone, which was like a pretty amazing feat at the time.
5S. Can you imagine shooting anything on a 5S iPhone now?
Oh, not at all.
I feel like you'd look at it and just be like, sorry, whose face is that? You wouldn't recognize it. It'd be so pixelated.
Exactly.
It's wild how well like those phones have improved since.
Absolutely.
And
he was shooting it back then.
There was a new film made on that, I think is absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's wild. But yeah, he also did the Florida Project. I personally,
that was so good.
That's my favorite Sean Baker film, the Florida Project.
Yeah.
But this one, Anora, I think the budget, although it hasn't been confirmed, budget was around 6 million, which to go on and win this many awards.
Yeah, 5 Oscars is pretty
it's
impressive.
Insane. Because I mean, to win an Oscar, if you guys don't know, to win an Oscar in the first case, you have to do a whole PR run anyways.
Yeah.
Generally, I think it's average that it costs around $1 million for that kind of a campaign.
Yes, crazy numbers. Yeah.
So for a film to win that entire budget was around 6 million, I think is a pretty
amazing feat.
Considering how much money these big, studios and streamers put behind trying to win an Oscar.
Absolutely, yeah.
Think about the money that would have been put behind Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo.
Yeah, in Wicked.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they didn't even get a shoe in, really.
No, not at all.
Not even a ruby red slipper.
No, yeah. I like what you did there. I like what you did. But yeah, no, it is interesting, isn't it? Because those big high-end films with hundreds of millions of dollars, they put so much into their marketing budgets. Like I feel like I saw Wicked everywhere. I saw it on buses. I saw it on TV ads, on YouTube. I saw it everywhere.
It was the Christmas tree in Paddington. It was like everything. They lit up some like buildings green and pink. The marketing campaign for Wicked was wicked.
Yeah, absolutely. I like what we did there as well. You keep them rolling. They're great.
Coming out with all the puns.
Yeah, you're just wicked. But it is interesting, isn't it? Because Wicked was everywhere, but then Anora, I feel like sort of just came out of the blue, and obviously it won at Cannes, and it won all the accolades of where the traditional filmmakers go and win it, and those indie films, and then for it to come in and completely sweep the Oscars was just incredible.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's I mean, we haven't even spoken about The Substance, and Demi Moore and that.
Yeah.
And Margaret. And Margaret Qualley,
I think. I don't know.
Well, however you say her last name.
Yeah.
Yeah, those two. And everybody, because obviously Demi Moore won at pretty much all the other award shows.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty much, those tend to be indicators of whether or not you're going to go in and win at the Oscars.
Yeah.
If you win, at the Critics' Choice, the SAG Awards, and, all of those leading up
to... The Golden Globes?
That's television.
That's TV. Yeah. Okay, fair.
If you're winning at those, generally they're pretty good indicators that you're going to go on and win at the Oscars. It was sort of, pretty much consensus that Demi Moore was going to win.
Yeah.
And she didn't.
And then she didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You
know, you've got to remember that the Academy is made up of people who get invited to be a part of the Academy, their peers and people who work, you know, within the industry. Maybe there was a little bit of, Demi Moore isn't necessarily the kind of actress who wins the Oscars, as she said in one of her speeches, you know, when she was told, and maybe that was playing into it. I don't know. I think she definitely played the role of a lifetime.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Gave the performance of a lifetime.
But then is it that I get what you're saying, the Academy's made up of fellow peers, fellow filmmakers in the industry. So it's kind of like, you know, it's not open to the public or anything like that.
No.
But is it kind of like, you know, when Jamie Lee Curtis won for Everything Everywhere All at Once, there were people who came out and said, oh, well, she's a legacy actress. That's why they awarded the Oscar to her, right?
Yeah.
Is there something about that? I mean, with Demi Moore, it's like, well, she's never had a shoe in, but she is such a legacy actress, isn't she? She's just been around for so long and been in so much great film.
But not an award-winning actress.
True.
Which is, I think, the key point, right? Jamie Lee Curtis is an award-winning actress.
Never won an Oscar, though, before
No,
that.
but is, or actor.
Yeah.
I think they prefer to be called actors.
Yeah.
Rather than actresses. Again, because feminism. And yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. Yeah. Well, with them, not you. You know what I mean. Anyways, getting all tongue-tied here. My point being...
Yes.
I do wonder whether there was a little bit of prejudice that was, you know, baked into that. Now, that's not to say that Mikey Madison didn't deserve the Oscar, didn't deserve to win. However, I do think it's interesting that Demi Moore didn't go on to win after she won at so many other ones.
Yeah,
I wonder.
interesting.
I just wonder how that happened.
Yeah.
And maybe Mikey Madison and Demi Moore were actually really close. And it was split almost 50-50.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? Well, guess we'll never know.
Absolutely. I mean, staying on the theme of Anora,
Yes.
Sean Baker's speech was pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
It was a really heartfelt speech where he went into the survival of independent film cinemas. And he sort of spoke about getting your kids to go and see feature films on the big screen. And
I love
how,
that.
So do I.
Yeah.
I thought his speech was something where I was like, that's like a true filmmaker, if you know what I mean. That's like someone who, like, you can tell he's devoted his entire life to it, and he absolutely loves it. It made me, like, you know, you watch people like that and you're like, oh yeah, that's why I like it as well, because of people like him, you know, and the way he speaks about it and the enthusiasm. But the one thing it did get me thinking about the Oscars in general is it does kind of feel a little bit like the Oscars are actually for the actors and not necessarily for the filmmakers, even though we know it takes an entire crew of people to make a film. It's not, you know, dependent on one person. However, it does kind of feel like the actors on the night, because they're the stars, obviously, and at the front of the film, they get all of it. They get all the attention, all of that type of thing. Like Sean Baker's speech was quite concise. It did exactly what he wanted it to. It delivered. And you look at what happened with Adrien Brody, and you're like, wow, you know, he
made some choices.
He did.
He made some choices.
He did. And it's like, he's just gone on. He's now broken the record for the longest Oscar speech in history, approximately 5 minutes and 40 seconds. Yeah. His speech deserves a feature film. Yeah. That's it. It was a feature film. It just got me thinking, I mean, that wasn't even the start of the speech, was the just crazy, where he's walking up on stage and he throws the gum at his girlfriend. And you're like, thing is, when I was watching
set the tone.
Why
don't you set the tone?
You're just like, okay, this is going to be something here. And then obviously it goes on, and then he starts going on, and then the music comes in, right? After about 3 minutes-ish, I think, the music comes in and he goes, yeah. You don't need to cut. You need to cut the music. Cut the music. Yeah.
I've done this before.
I've done this before. It's not my first rodeo. You know, I've been here. And you're like, okay, this is where
talk about, like, I am the man in the room.
Yeah.
I really didn't like it. And those are my thoughts.
I just think they should get a louder band next time and just keep playing. Just be like, keep playing. Play louder.
Exactly. But the fact that they stopped the music, right? They stopped the music after he said stop.
That is interesting.
Doesn't that tell you everything you need to know?
That is interesting, yeah.
I think that
because it's like they
volumes.
could just get rid of the mic as well, right? Like the mic comes up and down out of the floor, so it's like, just take the mic away. But yeah, you know, you compare what Adrien Brody did on the night to Sean Baker's speech, and the two are just completely, like, total opposite ends of the spectrum, aren't they? Worlds apart. But it did get me thinking, you know, Sean Baker picking up the Best Directors Award, right? Obviously, Christopher Nolan won Best Director last year for Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer. And it got me thinking about Bond again.
Here we go.
We're back. We're back with Bond.
We're back, baby.
Just can't get enough of it.
The name's Bond.
James Bond. Christopher Nolan Bond. But it did get me thinking about Bond. So I don't know if you know this, but after he did Tenet, Chris Nolan, he basically reached out to Barbara Broccoli and he said that he really wanted to direct a Bond. He takes a lot of his filmmaking techniques, a lot of his ideas, a lot of his themes from the Bond films. He loves Bond.
Yeah.
And Christopher Nolan, I think we can both agree, is an incredible director.
Yeah.
And
great.
someone who I personally would love to see him take on Bond. Apparently, when he reached out to Barbara Broccoli last time, he wasn't awarded it because she said me and Michael G. Wilson get the final say in the final cut. Yeah. So we reviewed the final cut and Chris Nolan said, no, that is something that I need. And I kind of feel like he is a director with enough on his CV to deserve that and to warrant that now. I mean, personally, I think he is.
But Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson had basically ran that brand since the beginning.
I get that.
So I get for Bond in that scenario, there's no way they could give that up.
No, absolutely. However, as we know, and as we've talked about before many times, they're gone.
Yep.
So the creative control
is now with Amazon Studios.
Exactly. So what I'm asking you is now the perfect time for someone like Chris Nolan to go, you give me 3 films, I will make the next 3 Bonds. And do you think Amazon would do it?
I mean, I think they should. I definitely think that there needs to be someone who's on the project from a creative standpoint for a considerable amount of time. There needs to be longevity creatively to this next series or trilogy or however many films they want to make. And I don't know if that should necessarily be a studio, but rather somebody who's much more involved within the day-to-day of the filmmaking, like a director or a producer.
Or both, yeah.
Or both, yeah. So if they were to bring on somebody in, I think that would make the most sense. And I think creatively, you want somebody who can build a rapport with the new Bond actor as well and help create that and tease out over a longer period of time. Yeah,
because I guess I get where you're going from. I think Chris Nolan, he's someone who can create a universe, isn't he? You look at what he did with the Batman.
Yeah.
He's able to get all of the themes across of that sort of legacy show but then bring out the characters a lot and give us really interesting storylines. I think I can envisage Chris Nolan's Bond. I can see it. I can really see it.
I can too. I definitely think it needs to be somebody like Chris Nolan. You couldn't have Quentin Tarantino.
No.
Because he's a character director.
Yeah.
That's
a good point.
And Chris, I can't see Quentin. I mean, yes, Quentin Tarantino does amazing fight scenes, does amazing,
stuff with dialogue. Yeah. He does great dialogue.
Great dialogue, of course. However, Bond is just, it's not so much. I don't think the Bond franchise is about Bond. I think it's about the world around Bond. You think about all the great films, the great Bond films.
Yep.
It's because they have an amazing villain. It's because they have an amazing setting. It's because the story around Bond is really strong.
Yeah.
Bond himself is a character who's fully fledged. We have had so many films about him.
Yeah.
So I think building that universe around Bond is going to be where the real excitement, artistry, and creativity comes from. And
absolutely.
I think you need somebody who has experience doing that.
So we're both in agreement that Christopher Nolan would be a good Bond.
Or
not a good Bond. Imagine how that would really throw us matter in the way. They were like, Chris Nolan is Bond. I'd be like, no, you were supposed to direct it, but now you're in it. God. I bet he's like, God.
And Jack Lowden is directing.
Who else in the directing world do you think would be capable of taking on Bond if Amazon say we're awarding someone a 3-film franchise?
I think Guillermo del Toro.
I know
that's really left field.
I just cannot see that.
Hear me out. Right. Guillermo del Toro has experience building universes.
True.
Right? Has experience building worlds. Is not as such. I mean, obviously he has characters within his worlds, but isn't like a character director.
Right? Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah.
He would also bring a real dark energy to Bond.
Yes, he would.
Which I think could be a really interesting way of sort of turning Bond on its head. I think the best films of the Bond series have been the darkest.
Yeah.
And from my opinion, and I mean, all of this is my opinion, of course, I don't need to qualify that it's my opinion. But I just feel that having somebody who is a little bit left field, who is a little bit, I mean, maybe very left field, who has that experience building universe, has experience on big budgets, but also would bring a little bit of like je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
To it. Could be a really interesting way of sort of reinventing Bond, because we're now in a position where it's almost as clean a slate as you're going to get.
Anything is possible.
Yeah.
And I agree. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Guillermo del Toro, and I would love to see a Bond made by him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sick.
So,
I mean, look, we're not going to go Tim Burton, right?
That would be a very interesting Bond.
You know, I don't think Tim Burton would necessarily. Just
like Edward Scissorhands, Bond's got, you know, knives for fingers.
Yeah, you know, Queen of Bond's heart, or something like that. You know, no, I don't think Tim Burton is necessary. But I think kind of halfway between Tim Burton and Christopher Nolan, I think that's where Guillermo del Toro sits.
That's where he sits,
and I feel like it's a kind of a good mix of both.
I do agree with you. You definitely need a director who has that sort of franchise, big universe experience.
Or who would you think?
Well, I for example, I couldn't imagine Peter Jackson doing it either, because I feel like to be fair, maybe I could, but I feel like he's too like fantasy, and I just always compare Peter Jackson to Lord of the Rings. Or potentially
David Yates,
or is it Steven Soderbergh? Soderbergh.
Yeah, I know how to spell it. I can't.
Say it. Yeah, the guy who did the Bournes.
Yeah.
Like,
although
but is that too close of a comparison? Like, do we need?
I feel like Bourne is a bit rough and ready. Bond has to be a bit more Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, I think we've determined that Christopher Nolan, you've got the backing of the media couple.
Yeah. If that means anything. No, it doesn't.
It means nothing.
It means nothing. But you've got our backing.
You've got it.
Go and make the next Bond film.
Yeah.
And give us credit when you do.
Give us a credit. Please.
Special thanks.
Yeah, with special thanks. Just put it at the end in the credits. Yeah, we love that.
That'd be ideal.
Anyways, in keeping with the Oscars, I thought we should play a game. So I've got the Best Picture winners, nominees, from 2014, 2020, and 2024. Now, the game is we're going to go through the nominees and we're going to take out the winners of those years. And out of the nominees, we're going to decide who we think should have won. Or
without the actual winner being there.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly. Cool. So like the sort of alternative, right? And so I'm going to throw these at you and you tell me who you think, and we'll get into that.
All right, go on.
So 2014, you've got the nominees are American Hustle, Captain Phillips, Dallas Buyers Club, Gravity, Her, Nebraska, Philomena, and The Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh God, there were some cracking films.
That's so good. That was a good. That's why I chose it. That was a good year.
Her definitely up there.
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah, for me as well.
American Hustle definitely up there for me.
Okay. But you got to pick one.
Gravity definitely up there for me, and Wolf of Wall Street.
You got to pick one. So you got four there. It's
between Wolf of Wall Street and Her.
Yeah.
I think Her was amazing.
Yeah.
I think Wolf of Wall Street was just super fun.
Yeah.
Her.
I loved the I like that choice. I think that's a great film as well. It was so good.
It just edges Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Who won that year?
12 Years a Slave.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay, fair. But yeah, no, I agree. Great film. Spike Jonze, the guy who directed it, used to be he was in Jackass.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I know.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Now we're going to go on to 2020. So the nominees for Best Picture are Ford versus Ferrari, The Irishman.
Oh, yeah.
Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Cool.
So what would you go for out of those? What won? Parasite.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I didn't like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I know.
I really didn't enjoy that.
That is a bold statement.
But I really didn't enjoy it. Yeah. I get why critically it did so well, but didn't love it.
But you're not actually a huge fan of Tarantino. Are you?
I really like Django.
You like Django, yes.
I really like Django,
You like Django.
but I didn't love The Hateful Eight.
No, I loved that.
I liked Inglourious Bastards.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, but anyways, moving on. So it's not going to be up. It's not going to be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
No.
Marriage Story. I mean, if you haven't seen it, Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a scene in that movie where they are having an argument, and it's the most visceral, raw scene I think I've ever watched on screen as two people arguing. It felt so real.
As like a couple.
Yeah,
you know,
it felt so real, and it was just their performances in that were unparalleled.
Yeah.
I think it's a shame that they were up against Parasite because Parasite was phenomenal.
Amazing.
And deserved to win, but Marriage Story.
And a foreign film winning, Best Feature is huge.
And Parasite was
picture.
phenomenal. But Marriage Story, that's got to be the one.
I'd agree with that. I think that's great. And last one, we're going with last year. So the nominees are American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest.
Ooh. Okay.
Obviously, the winner for last year was Oppenheimer.
Yeah. I mean, I loved Oppenheimer.
It was great.
I loved Oppenheimer.
It was really good.
I think the only one really that comes close to Oppenheimer is The Zone of Interest.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
It's not the most fun film to watch. But I think it was such an interesting way
to create a feature film.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think
they like rigged all the cameras, didn't they? It was kind of like how they filmed Big Brother. It was just all rigged cameras all over the house, wasn't it?
But it felt so right.
Yeah.
And it created this tension.
Yeah.
That I think it was such a clever way to bring in all this extra tension that you wouldn't get if you'd filmed it in the traditional way that these big features get filmed.
No, and it did so much with sound, didn't it? The sounds of the camp and stuff like that was just.
No, it was. I mean, that was Although, that's the one.
I think that's the one. I think that's a really good shout. And on that note, that is the end of this podcast.
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah, that flew by. But really enjoyed that one. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your answers on the game. Thanks guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. And please, leave us a like. Please subscribe to the channel. It really, really does help us out. And if you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, please leave us a review. It really, really helps as well.
It does. Everything he said, I concur.
Hey, look, every little helps. All right.
But thank you guys for being here, and we will see you next Thursday, as always.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.